Last year, there was this huge controversy about pink slime, and for those of you who don't know what it is, Jamie Oliver really brought it to the national attention. Basically, it's connective tissue, the throwaway parts of an animal or of the cow, and they basically get thinly ground, and then or finely ground, I should say, and then they get treated with ammonium and basically, they turn it into burger patties, and it doesn't sound like the healthiest thing to eat, but Americans were eating it in large quantities and not really knowing about it. Well, it turns out that a bunch of school districts throughout the country decided they're no longer going to serve pink slime to the kids, but now all of a sudden there are schools in 7 states that have decided, we're going to bring it back because no one's really talking about it anymore. It's no longer on the radar. And Politico recently reported on this, and Newsbusters was upset about it because they're like, what the hell? It's beef. It's totally fine. Why are you guys hating on these corporations that make this, what is it called? The appropriate word? Lean, finely textured beef.
Okay. Now, you get it from carcasses. It has a higher chance of picking up disease. You're scraping the bone. We've reported on all this in the past. A higher chance of E. coli and stuff. But Newsbusters is conservative, so what they want to do is protect corporations at all costs. So they're like, oh, E. coli, what's the big deal, right? So what do they say, Anna?
They said the tiny amounts of ammonium hydroxide the beef is treated with make it safer to eat, but the media have made it sound like this is bad.
Tiny amounts of ammonium hydroxide, it's good for you. Schlupen das ist Vitamin.
So let me just say, according to the Newsbusters rebuttal to what Politico wrote, they're like, look, it's parts of the cow that are difficult to scrape off. So, they find a way to get those parts and they ground it and it's delicious and it's fine. You treat it with the ammonium hydroxide or, yes, hydroxide, and it's totally okay. But what you're failing to mention is that usually it's throwaway parts like connective tissue. You know what I mean? It's the part that isn't very appetizing. So, and as Cenk mentioned, it's the part that usually carries diseases that'll make you extremely sick.
Now, by the way, if you were a true conservative, you would actually love that they took pink slime out of the burgers and the ground beef because that's the free market at work. The consumers responded, they don't want this. No matter what you think of how lovely the hydroxide is and how lovely the scraped off connective tissue is and the E. coli is, consumers said we don't want it, and so they took it out of the beef. But in reality, conservatives in this country, unfortunately, oftentimes don't really believe in capitalism or free markets.
Right.
They believe in corporatism. So they're like, must protect corporations. Whatever the corporation was doing, it was great. Eat up that pink slime. It's good for you.
So let me jump in and tell you guys a story that just blew me away. Back in 1997, the USDA started this pilot program with pork producers. And the pilot program basically went into 5 pork factories and told them, listen, we are going to allow you guys to self-regulate. We're looking for ways to save money.
No, that sounds like a great idea.
And at the same time, we want to, of course, test the product to make sure it's okay afterwards. But you guys can have private inspectors, basically self-inspection, which we all know isn't going to work when you have a profit motive. Well, they did that, and what they discovered was that 3 out of 5 of those pork factories produced meat that got people extremely sick. They had fecal matter, it was ridden with E. coli, and it's just another example of how self-regulation doesn't work. I'm not one of those crazy libs who's like, we need to regulate everything. We did that story about tattoos yesterday, and I said it's over-regulation, just let them go, that's fine. But when it comes to food that people consume, you need regulation. You can't rely on that corporation or that factory to regulate itself. They're gonna wanna save money.
It's part of the core function of government is to protect its citizens. Yes, that's true when you come to the military, the cops, but also the Food and Drug Administration. We have to know that the food we're eating, the drugs we're consuming are safe and are not going to kill us. But like conservatives now, they haven't really lost their minds. They've just gotten brainwashed by corporations who say, no, just trust us. Self-regulation totally works. Don't regulate us at all. We'll save tiny percentage of money. And then they're like, oh, great, nobody's looking, throw the fecal matter in there. And to give you a sense from the pink slime story, you know how much they save by using pink slime? 3%.
I know, it's amazing.
3%, that's it. And you know what? The minute you weren't looking, 4 states were like, oh, bring it back. We're going to save 3%.
It's amazing.